This is like my third time trying to record this video. This is what you guys are watching me on. Okay. What if I get this in one take? That would be crazy. Okay. I am reading an essay that I wrote in February titled My Week of Rest and Relaxation, an Experiment on Pleasure. And I love this essay. It truly only becomes more real and important to me as the weeks go on. The experiment started off simple enough. Every day I would do one thing that made me supremely happy to be alive. My measurement was how happy LeBron James felt on this fateful day. Anything that had me saying, "Can't believe this is my life," with a goofy smile on my face was fair game. I could play around with watercolors, read in the bath, go for a long walk. It did not matter. The action itself was secondary to the feeling. The first step was discovering where the undeniable propulsion of pleasure lived in my body and where it was pointing me to. Using the body as a compass is something that I've been playing with for over the past year. It started during a terrible depressive episode last February. Vulnerable to the realms of shame and guilt, I was determined to listen to my body like never before. I was surprised to find that depression made so obvious the compass that my body was. I need not restrict myself to just one shower a day if I needed 3. If I wanted to watch TV first thing in the morning and sleep for 10 hours, so be it. Pleasure then was not a luxury, it was an absolute necessity. No matter what it was, I would find that small corner of my soul that was saying yes, and I would give it whatever it wanted. The body is one of the best compasses because it is almost always completely truthful. The mind can spin all kinds of tales. It can reiterate the necessity of shoulds. And also we lie to ourselves all the time. Your mind can tell you that it's okay with living the life you are living, but the body will shut down, it will grow tired, and prove to be an unwilling participant in your story. The truth is a great place to start. The truth is like an X on the map saying you are here. If you don't know where you are located, it is almost impossible to get anywhere. Those truisms only grow more textured and real with the years. The truth will set you free. Of course, there is no freedom without truth. I can tell myself that the right thing to do is get off the couch and get back to work. But if the undeniable truth was that God lived in that stupid TV show I was watching with my lover, then I was not truly free. I was chaining myself to some gratuitous complex, a series of ideas of who I ought to be, rules that made a Sunday afternoon feel like gambling with my dreams. I had an affirmation that was a guidepost last spring. What I have the energy to create is what I'm supposed to create. No more did I want to make an enemy out of my body, to punish it for not wanting to write that essay on that timeline that I had allotted for it. Instead, I became curious about its rhythms. All of a sudden, it was like the gods were speaking to me, urging me to work on my novel, or urging me to focus on a specific project, or urging me to rest. 1 week working on an essay was the most pleasurable thing in the world. And then the energy would cease. Just looking at the document would make me feel tired, and I knew that it was time to move on. The body and all of its complex data was offering a map, and more I was curious about what would happen if I followed it. As an artist, there are a lot of decisions to make in a day. To my dismay, I would find myself looking at the life I had quite literally prayed for, one where I had financial stability and an incredibly flexible daily schedule, and I would feel paralyzed by all that open space. Should I work on the novel or go to the gym? Should I read or make that YouTube video? Should I clean the bathroom or go for a walk? Often, I would find myself asking out to the world, to God, to my tarot cards, to my computer, to my phone, how should I live? I decided that over the course of the experiment, for an entire week, I would listen for the answer. Or rather, I would take seriously a theory I had about life. That pleasure was not a nice amenity to reality, it was your contract with it. It was the map that lived in your body, a map that was completely your own. So the first week, I played with the calligraphy set I got for Christmas, went to the sauna with my best friend, read in the bath, stayed in bed for the whole morning watching TV and eating a breakfast burrito that I ordered on Uber Eats. I think I was watching I Love LA. Walked for a long time. Got high and went to the aquarium. So how the experiment went. I began to sense that pleasure was not so much something that one experiences and more of a state of being. It was surprising to me how apparent the thing that I should do was when I asked myself in earnest what would make me the most happy to be alive. I wondered if pleasure was the very engine that kept life moving, one molecule saying yes to another molecule, so on and so forth. It became so obvious that there was a realm of being where everything had a spirit and everything wanted to party with you. I was watching TV in bed, feeling like a princess, and everything was just saying yes, yes, yes. I found that 3 days of doing this felt comfortable. I could tell that I was stretching my capacity for indulgence, but comfortably so. I actually ended up doing a decent amount of writing that was fueled by the bliss. After 3 days, I grew increasingly more nervous and agitated. It was hard for me to mentally put down all the projects I'd been working on or was thinking of doing. The next Monday, when the week was out, I told myself to pack it up. It was time to get serious and get back to work. But my body was not ready, or rather, I was tired. I went through a night of insomnia. I was at that time in my cycle where I was pondering and ruminating, and time felt sluggish. I tried not to be hard on myself, but often I was. Writing and creating is, of course, an extension of that pleasure state of being. When the writing is going good, it was the quickest path to take me to that miraculous place. When the compass of pleasure that lived or was speaking through my body pointed towards writing, I was happy. However, once it left the medium of writing, I would grow increasingly worried and unhappy. I had more judgments than I suspected about the appropriate sources of pleasure, and for how long I was permitted to experience inappropriate sources of it. I recalled a conversation that I had with a therapist at 15, where I expressed that I only felt good engaging in productive leisure, such as reading, but things like watching TV made me uncomfortable. I remember her slightly amused, bewildered look at my neuroticism. Then it was Saturday, Valentine's Day, a little less than 2 weeks after the experiment started, and I was in a terrible mood. I knew this discomfort with excess pleasure was probably some kind of ancestral inheritance, an ancient survival mechanism. My grandma, who I'm living with, does not believe that anyone needs to sleep more than 7 hours. Though the reason did not matter, I was suffering, and I knew better. And I did not want to fight against the internal current of myself, but there I was. I did not want to work, and the whole day was dreadful. At the end of the day, I was throwing tantrums like a toddler, whining and throwing a fit. But my partner sat with me and gazed at me with only kindness in their eyes. Their love was enough for me to want to start again. So we smoked weed, we had wings, we watched Stranger Things, and I did not ask if it was okay to do so. I had a thought laying there on my lover's chest that this was the most pressing thing in the world, and my soul soared at that thought, every cell in my body buzzing with pleasure. Yeah, that's the essay. Let me know what you think, and if you want to read it in text form, I will link it.